Hello all. As you may well now be aware, I imagine the word is getting round, the WPATH files have dropped. This is a frankly horrifying catalogue of events which prove without any equivocation that we've been experimenting on some of our most vulnerable, including children. The ramifications of this will be felt around the world. Can I ask that you share this? Subscribe if you want to, but can you share this and like it? Because that's what helps the algorithm get it round. They have kindly, WPATH files, Environmental Progress, Michael Schellenberg, Jen Specht, a number of others have kindly provided a presentation to be used that can enable us to get our heads around exactly what is going on. This is what I imagine will be a series of videos from my good self examining the key points in the WPATH files. And it's a tough watch. It's a tough read. Get yourself a cup of coffee. Let's begin with this introduction. The WPATH files presentation shows that pseudoscientific surgical and hormonal experiments on children, adolescents, and vulnerable adults has been in place. This was produced here by Mia Hughes in March 2024, and as you can see, Environmental Progress at the bottom there. What is the WPATH files? Well, we've been waiting for them for a long time, but you can see they're on the screen. They're newly released from WPATH's internal messaging forum, which is where the people involved in WPATH itself, its workers, its members, have been having conversations. This demonstrates that the world-leading transgender healthcare group is neither scientific nor advocating for ethical medical care. These internal communications reveal that WPATH advocates for arbitrary medical practices, including hormonal and surgical experimentation on minors and vulnerable adults. I knew about this, but it doesn't make it any less shocking to see it this way. They received the WPATH files from a source or sources who contacted us because they had seen Michael Schellenberger's work on the Twitter files. So this is a leak from an internal leak. The report and files will be released on March the 5th, 2024. I will put the links downstairs in the dubris for anybody that wants to take a further look and examine more of it. As I will be doing also. Environmental Progress is a non-profit organization of pro-human environmentalists founded by author and journalist Michael Schellenberg, and the mission is to incubate ideas, leaders, and movements for nature, peace, and freedom for all. Okay, so they've done what needed to be done. They work with a wide range of issues, from climate change to homelessness to freedom of speech, all of which can constitute important aspects of our environment. This includes the aspect of gender medicine. So they have a general interest in the world moving forward. We felt that the WPATH files needed to be analysed and put in a broader historical context than possible through a series of news articles. When I say we felt, I don't mean me, I mean them, okay? The report accompanying the files is written by Environmental Progress researcher on gender, Mia Hughes. My thank you to Mia, my thanks to Mia. What do the files show? The files show that WPATH is conducting an unregulated experiment on some of the most vulnerable people in society. WPATH members are violating the ethical and legal requirement of obtaining informed consent. Members appear to have little concern for the long-term outcome of patients. Members are aware that cross-sex hormones have debilitating and potentially fatal side effects. WPATH members know that puberty blockers are experimental and have adverse consequences. Young patients do not understand the physical effects of sex trait modification interventions and therefore cannot give cognitive consent. Cognitive there, meaning thinking, thought, deep thought. They cannot give cognitive consent. WPATH have known this for a very long time indeed, and I think, it's my personal opinion, that's because WPATH has never been a healthcare organization. It has always been about LARPing, fetishistic and paraphilic men who wish to normalize their behavior. And to normalize that behavior, they were more than happy to pay the price of damaging vulnerable people and minors. That's just my personal opinion. I could well be wrong. WPATH members are aware that adolescents are not developmentally able to consent to iatrogenic fertility loss. The word iatrogenic there means it is the harm. What purports to be the health care is the harm. It is iatrogenic, like social transition. That is also iatrogenic. WPATH has no respect for the Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath is what doctors used to stand by, which was, firstly, do no harm. WPATH members dismiss stories of detransition or regret. So all the stories told by the likes of Chloe Cole, by the likes of Richie, they're not interested. WPATH doctors are knowingly experimenting on patients with hormones and surgeries. There's no escaping this. They knew. Think of all the organizations that have supported WPATH along the way. Think of them all. The NHS, Unison, the National Union of Teachers, all of these unions, all of these bodies that purport to be so morally superior, to be so unbelievably progressive, all these organizations have supported WPATH and will eventually have to answer for their crimes. Patients with severe mental issues are being allowed to consent to invasive, life-altering medical interventions without any attempt to first address their mental distress. This is what happens when you make a mental condition and a sexual fetish or paraphilia into a so-called identity. This is why identity is immaterial. This is why identity doesn't matter. Because it makes of us groups. It groups us. And when we are grouped, we are then able to be predated upon by the likes of WPATH. WPATH members know there is significant regret in young patients, and still they pushed ahead with it. What is in the WPATH Files report? A brief history of transgender medicine and the early days of WPATH. Transgender medicine, I don't even believe it. It shouldn't exist in any format for anyone, including adults. There will be an analysis of WPATH files, and there will be case studies of past pseudo-scientific hormonal and surgical experiments. There'll be recommendations, and there will be 2 files available, the WPATH files complete and lightly redacted. What do we hope happens now? Well, exposing the truth about WPATH will contribute significantly to restoring the credibility of the medical profession and will reinforce the values of evidence-based medicine and respect for scientific principles. We believe the files show that WPATH is neither a scientific nor medical organizations, and medical organizations, including the APA, the AMA, and the NIH, should stop following them. I think that's the possibly American Pediatrics Association. These are health organizations in the UK. Bear in mind that this come from in the US. So most of these people are in the US. The UK does not follow WPATH. NHS does not follow WPATH. But this gender-affirming care nonsense has been supported by some of the biggest institutions in the country. This gender identity rubbish has been supported by some of the biggest institutions in the country. And every single one of them that has put up a stupid flag, right, or rattled on about clownfish in their museums or whatever the hell it may be, every single one of you is culpable. Every one of you. And you should hold your heads in shame that you have supported gender identity ideology and transgenderism, that you have encouraged people to pretend they are something they're not, that you have taken women's spaces, that you have messed with the minds of children in schools, and that you have absolutely saturated our media with unreality, anti-scientific, anti-enlightenment, anti-human cobblers, because that is what you have all done. And I can only hope that the WPATH files that we will be seeing and we will be looking at over the next week, that those WPATH files expose the absolute truth and that we can finally bring this unbelievable cult to its knees. That's the game. That's the game. That is the game. And I'll take us back one more time to the title there. Pseudoscientific surgical and hormonal experiments on children, adolescents, and vulnerable adults. To those of you that have defended this, to those of you that have remained silent, for shame. I hope it keeps you up at night. And I hope that this is the beginning of us bringing to justice the people that have been involved in this, the medical scandal of the century.